perfect backswing is probably not what you think it is. Now, when I think of the perfect backswing, I kind of think of this. Tiger, back in his heyday, playing his best golf, this was probably as close as I've seen to a perfect backswing. However, I would also consider this to be a perfect backswing. But you can see that was very different. There were some weird and wonderful movements at the start. But I consider that to be a perfect backswing because I'm looking at this from a coach's perspective. And when I look for a perfect backswing, I'm very simply looking at, does the golfer create the right movements that they need? So we're going to kind of split this into two sections. We're going to control the club, the hands and the arms, and then we're going to look a little bit at what the body does. So here's the first little exercise I'd love you to do. You're going to take your setup. Mid-iron is absolutely fine. And you're going to take the club from its starting position and you're going to run it so it is parallel to your toes or parallel to your target line. So that would look something like this. And when you put the club in that position, I would love the club face to be pointing a little bit more down towards the ground. You can see there that the toe is slightly in front of the heel. That's the checkpoint. Club shaft horizontal with the ground, parallel to your toe line, club face pointing down at the ground. Now, theoretically, you should be able to find that position relatively easy. Some of you might find that you're tending to be more in here. Some of you might find that you're tending to be somewhat like this with the club face. Those are all indications that you're not quite doing the right thing with your hands and your arms. Now, ultimately, if we want to dive a little deeper there, there's three really key things happening. Your wrists are setting the club up. Your forearms are rotating the club, and you're twisting the club to flatten out your wrist. Now, I don't really want you to think of those things. I just want you to take the club from here and put it here. But what I'm seeing as a coach is I'm seeing three essential movements being done. So I'm giving that a bit of a tick. Okay, your backswing has got those three movements. That's so, so important. Now, that is not the end of your backswing. Okay, we don't play golf from there. We're not going to hit it particularly far if we did. So we've got to get the club from here up to the top. So now we need to think a little bit about what is the body doing? Well, in a backswing, in a perfect backswing, you need some body pivot. Everybody needs some. Some will have more than others, depending on flexibility, and also it can depend on club. If you're hitting a driver, you might have more movement versus maybe you're hitting a 9-iron or a wedge. So let's take a club, pop it across the shoulders, and let's go through this movement. Can we move our shoulders through this 90-degree range where the club head, or the grip, whichever end is across your lead shoulder, sort of starts to cover the golf ball. So you can see how I'm turning my body through 90 degrees. Every good backswing has some of that. You need it, I need it, Tiger had it in that first video, we all have that. That doesn't quite put us to the top of our backswing. Let me show you why not. We would be here, we would turn through 90 degrees with our body, and we'd probably have the lead arm around about level with the ground. So we're not quite at a full backswing length, because there's one thing that we haven't quite got yet, and that is some arm swing. Your arms in the backswing will move independently of your torso, your body. You can feel that by doing this. If you took a setup, you don't need a club, try and keep your body facing the golf ball, and simply keep your lead arm straight and just lift your arms. What you feel is towards your trail shoulder, this movement. Now, that looks very strange because I'm isolating it, but effectively that is what is happening in the backswing, because as we do this, the arms are moving relative to the torso. This is arm swing. Watch what happens if I do that and then add my turn. What do we get? Perfect top of the backswing position. So we have, from here, 90 degrees of body pivot, and your arms need to do something independent of the torso. They need to swing. So here's what I'd love you to do. Take a setup, and you can hit shots this way, and I'm going to show you now. Take the club, place it there. Get your checkpoints. Parallel to the toe line, parallel to the ground, club points down. Turn through 90 degrees, swing the hand over your trail shoulder, and that is your perfect top of the backswing position. So let me go ahead and do that, and I'm going to swing through. And you can see how I've managed to hit that ball onto the front of the green. So I must have had a pretty good backswing to do that. And when I'm looking at that as a golf swing, I'm looking at the backswing and saying, okay, does this golfer have the key movements that are needed? I did. Now you might look at that and think that looks strange because I did things in a slightly different order. When we look at someone like Tiger, when we look at someone like Rory, they have all of those movements and they blend them in such a way that we see it as this good looking backswing. And we tend to assess the backswing based on what the swing looks like. I want you to think about what's involved. That's a much, much better way for you to consider your backswing. So theoretically, there's no reason why I couldn't do my wrist set right at the start. And then from there, backswing. It looks different, but it's a perfect backswing. It still had the elements that I needed. You could go this way, and make your backswing. Someone like Matt Wolff has his arms rotating much later. Still, in my eyes, a perfect backswing. It just looks different because he's doing his things in a different order to what we consider normal. But that's the old way of thinking about the backswing. If you're looking at your golf swing and assessing how it looks, you could well be missing the whole point. You could be focused on the wrong thing and you're leaving shots on the table. So the best drill, and I learned this one from Nick Faldo, back way in the day when I was probably 14, 15. And he would do this drill of up, across, and swing. And ultimately what he's doing is he's creating a perfect backswing. And he's making sure he does it in a way that he can control the key elements. So when he was here, I now look at that video and think, okay, he had his wrist hinge, he had his forearm rotation, he flattened out his wrist. He was controlling those in an area where he could see them. If you just make a backswing, you don't really know what your hands have done. You don't know what your arms have done. You don't know what your wrist has done. You're guessing, you can't see that. So when we do it here, we can control it. So we can go up to horizontal, across 90 degrees, flatten the wrist out. There's your hands and arms done. You pivot through 90 degrees, you swing your arms up over your shoulder, and you've got yourself a perfect backswing. And you can go ahead and hit shots that way. And there is absolutely no reason why I couldn't play golf that way. It looks strange, but that's because you're thinking about what the golf swing looks like. We've got to be thinking about the golf swing as the elements that need to be there and how well we control them.